No, you're not going to see this on Fox. I'm really surprised you didn't see it on, CBS or NBC. No. They're of course they're going to treat us the same way they treated Ron Paul. They're going to, if it even comes up, they're going to marginalize us at first, but they'll ignore us as long as they can. But when a few million people sign up for this, and when the de facto, the corporate government collapses, because it will economically, and Ron Paul has always said this, the thing that's going to eventually bring down all this collectivist monstrosity that we've created in Washington, D.C., it's going to collapse financially. You can't keep maintaining it. Once people wake up around the world and they stop buying our debt, then it's really a matter of days or weeks. It can't last much longer. And we want to be there and fully formed and fully inhabited to start functioning as the original government, which is what we are.
Well, let me ask you this here. With all that's going on, with forming these citizen grand juries and going through this process, what are the legal ramifications of pursuing something like this? What do you believe that the reaction is going to be from the government as it exists today?
Well, you have to understand the grand juries are something that are guaranteed by the Fifth Amendment in the Constitution. Now, the people in government, in the de facto, have done everything they can to kind of downplay the grand juries or talk about them as something that's not useful anymore. But the truth is that the grand juries are a part of our common law heritage and a part of the Constitution. So there's something called the Corpus Juris Secundum, which is like the Encyclopedia of Jurisprudence, which is recognized, by the de facto as well as the Republic. And I'll just read you a couple of quotes from it. One, quote, "The Fifth Amendment has adopted the grand jury as it existed at common law." That's a quote right from the Corpus Juris Secundum. And then here's another one. Where a grand jury is derived from common law, the elimination of a constitutional provision for grand juries does not invalidate such system. See, because some of these states have eliminated the constitutional provision in their state constitutions, but it's saying right here in the Corpus Juris Secundum that does not invalidate the grand juries. And then another interesting quote I like, this is in my presentation, some states have practically abolished the grand jury. It is asserted that, quote, "under modern conditions, a grand jury is antiquated, superfluous, and well-nigh useless." So the thing is that legally there is nothing the corporate government can do legally. Of course, they have the guns. We know that. Right. But we are moving forward with establishing the grand juries, and they are guaranteed under the Fifth Amendment. And there's a lot of things that they can do, and it's the bottom up. It's the most bottom up government aspect that we can develop, and I think it's so exciting because once we get these grand juries established, and I see the excitement at all my presentations. People get it. They start to realize. First of all, they start to realize that they have this indigenous power and that our government is a surrogate. Well, that's what Tom Paine did. He made it so clear that the individual is created by God with free will and the ability to use that free will and make decisions and create entities that are surrogates and servants of him as an individual. And that's exactly what governments are. They're servants. And that indigenous power is starting to wake up all over the country. That's what I'm seeing at these meetings. And what happens is, as people see it starting all over the country, the grand juries and other places, that gives them hope and inspiration, and they move forward and they start in their own counties. And that's what's happening. It's like I think it's really very close to a tipping point.
So you're creating this, and you're going to bring in these grand juries and then hold elections and put people into positions. And you're going to create all of this so that there is something there as a safety net when it is that the government that exists today actually comes down to a crashing halt.
I couldn't have put it any better than you just did. Okay. That's exact. Safety net is a good idea. By the way, this is a 100% peaceful, forgiving organization. We are not, no matter how evil or corrupt these people have been, these international bankers, the financial elites that they've created the derivatives, and I mean, we could talk about that later, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, these people should be hung, some of them, or behind bars, but we're not doing that. What we want to do is peacefully re-inhabit what is ours, which is the natural law-based government that our founders created, and re-inhabit it, get it going again, make it active so we can be, as you said, the safety net as this corporate government collapses around us.
Now, do you find that the Tea Party is in agreement with what you're doing, that they're in support of that?
I would say that the people that heard me on the 2 radio shows I've done promoting these events, a lot of them probably are Tea Party-oriented people. They're people that know there's something wrong. They hear me talk on the radio, or they hear something about the event, and they go, I want to go to this. This sounds interesting because I know there's something seriously wrong with this country, which is a lot of the American public right now.
I agree with you. I think a lot of people realize that something's not right. And
now there are those diehards who believe. Yeah, there's diehards out there, and I have a lot of friends that just, oh no, that Social Security is really there. All this stuff, this scare tactic the Republicans are using, and the Tea Party people are saying it's not true. Social Security is going to be there for everybody. The government's not really in debt. We just need to put a few more $1 trillion into the economy, and everything will be fine. I mean, there are people like that. I mean, it blows my mind, but there are people like that out there. But they're becoming fewer and fewer and farther in between. And more people are waking up that there's something very, very wrong. And when they come and they hear this, they see the presentation, they see the common sense of it, they gravitate very quickly toward it. So it's exciting. I'm telling you, this is the most exciting thing. I've been involved in this whole movement. I've gone to Washington, D.C. with the Citizens for Alternative Tax System way back 20 years ago, and trying to get rid of the income tax and replace it with a national retail sales tax. That was the first thing I got involved with. And then I started going around the country talking. I had a history of taxes talk. That's where I met Ed Griffin, the author of Creature from Jekyll Island, The Second Look at the Federal Reserve, and we became friends, and he took me to a whole other level. Go ahead.
Clyde, who introduced you to this de jure government and the concept of de jure government? Who was the first person who introduced you onto this concept?
Yeah, it's hard for me to remember the first person. The first person here in Florida was a lady by the name of Mary Heiler, and there were some other people in Iowa that talked to me about it before that, and I'd seen some things on the internet about it. It just seemed a little bit too not quite yet formal, organized, and coherent.